What's going on, everybody? This is California Kaldune, and I've got a special SUV here today. I've got the Land Rover, all new Land Rover Defender 110. The 110 is because it has 4 doors. I don't know if you can see this gigantic thing here, but it's kind of the king of the road, king of the castle, maybe the king of everything. That's it, completely up for you to decide. We're going to take a look at some of the features, the looks, and some of the things that make this SUV one of the greatest SUVs on the planet. Or maybe the best SUV on the planet. I'm not really sure. Depends on how you feel about it. Just look at that side profile though, right there. Yeah, it's pretty aggressive. Looks good. Yeah. Why don't we take a look at this SUV right now and get to finding out what makes this thing so darn impressive. All right, so before we get started, a little history about the Land Rover Defender. The Land Rover Defender was originally built in the 1940s, and it was a very simple off-roading vehicle designed to do only one thing: go over rough terrain. Now, times have changed significantly. I mean, we're currently in the year 2021, so regulation standards and also people's needs have changed significantly. We no longer need a severe, rough, rugged off-road SUV to go to the grocery store or go run through landmines. Well, maybe landmines. I mean, we still have landmines out there. You got to look for them. So the engineers decided that this is our new Land Rover Defender. Now, the original Defender came in different variants, a 2-door, a 4-door, and it was actually designed to basically suit the needs of whatever you could do on the Safari or in the Sahara or whatever. But this is more of an SUV that's designed to handle the day-to-day grind of living in a modern world. And with a modern world comes modern standards. So what does modern standards include? Safety, yeah. EPA, yeah. That kind of stuff. All that's included. So they have to monitor things like, you know, not being able to run over people or get better gas mileage, and a lot of those things affect the way that this vehicle looks and what it does. But actually what it does, it still does everything that you'd want it to do, only like better, you know, because it's newer and has advanced engine management systems and also 4-wheel drive. So yeah, it still does what everything the old one does, just a little better, guys. But take a good look at it. I mean, you've got everything here that you need. It says Defender on the side. You've got a front grille with Defender on the front. You've got side profiles with Defender. It just looks very Defender-ish. So this SUV right here, that looks like something only a dream could be made of, actually has 2 engines available. Those 2 engines currently in the United States are the 300 horsepower 4-cylinder engine and the 400 turbo 6-cylinder engine. Both of them are turbos, by the way, producing 300 and 400 horsepower. There is a diesel engine, but is not currently available in the United States. And I mean, to not have diesel available in the United States, I mean, it kind of breaks my heart considering all the torques that come with diesel. But, you know, I could live with this. I mean, just take a good look at it. This gigantic thing right here is powered by a 4-cylinder turbo and a 6-cylinder turbo. Doesn't sound too bad. Well, it does sound bad if you live in the United States, because we should have the diesel, but we don't. Comparably equipped, the vehicle starts at around $50,000, but when you check mark enough options, you're going to be spending around $70K to get it moderately optioned out. I mean, I wouldn't consider it over optioned, but let's call it moderately optioned. You're going to spend around $70K to get this SUV. And for really what's out there, comparatively, $70,000 in today's money isn't that bad. You know, a lot of Cadillac Escalades cost more than that. Heck, even like some Nissans cost more than that. Just look around. I mean, yeah, you'll find a few Nissans that cost above $70,000. And to get a Land Rover with this reputation of Land Rover Defender right here in that range, I'd say it's a pretty good bargain. I mean, just look at those beefy tires. Oh yeah, and the color scheme, white over black, gotta love it. Gotta love that color. Especially the green badge that sticks out, contrasts everything right here that's going on. You've got this green badge, white, black. It's Land Rover. It's Land Rover, baby. Can't stop. Won't stop. So one of the more controversial styling cues is this floating square right here, which actually holds the pillar for the vehicle. That's right, this floating square right here is a big controversial issue because when it debuted, a lot of people didn't like this floating square. Kind of looks weird. But Land Rover and the engineers decided that this really gave the Land Rover quite a good look. So they left it in. And oh yeah, it does have a purpose, because if you go on inside of the SUV right here, so going on inside of the Land Rover, you see the pillar right here is actually a water bottle holder. That's right. This thing right here holds water bottles or a canteen. And then there's also that lovely sky view right there. Yeah, for your water bottle. So it'll be illuminated. Quite an interesting thing for them to put. But, I mean, the pillar does have a purpose. I mean, it holds water bottles or canteens. I can't really get into this debate right now. Not in the Defender. Land Rover took so much pride in the fact that the Defender Square had multiple purposes as serving as a pillar and a cup holder or canteen holder or bottle holder, whatever you want to call it, that they actually put their logo right here. True story. That's how proud they are of this thing. Look, the little logo is even on the 3D rendering of the Land Rover Defender inside the car. If you look closely enough, you can see it. The unusualness does not stop there, because I mean, if you go straight to the back of the car, you will notice the taillights. See anything out of the ordinary? You've got these two big taillights right here, and then you've got these little taillights on the side. On both sides, by the way. It's not just one side. I mean, that'd just be really weird, right? Now, the reason why the Land Rover Defender has this is because the old Defender from, you know, back in the days, the 40s, all the way up into the 90s, had those little lights. So they wanted to pay tribute to it by putting them on the Defender in the 2000s, or 2020s, I should say. Because we're, you know, 2000s was a long time ago. But yeah, these little lights on the side, they don't just do what normal lights do. They actually serve as multiple brake lights and multiple lane changing lights. So when you turn on your blinkers, they all blink, and when you hit the brakes, they all pretty much light up brakes. Let me show you. Yeah, see how everything on the back is lighting up? You've got the hazard lights lighting up the big squares and the little squares. They all function to do the same thing. It's not some sort of coincidence. This is actually what happens in the Land Rover. Let me show you the blinkers. Now, you would think the blinkers would be a separate set of lights, but it's actually not. They all work in unison. It's blinking together. It's all together. It's all one piece. So it's like you're getting dual protection, you know, in case you get rear-ended and someone doesn't notice your giant Defender. They'll see, you know, I guess 4 blinking lights at them that'll let them know that you're braking, stopping, or turning. And if they still hit you, well, then it's their fault because they hit you from the back. You see this right here? This section? This is actually glass. This is glass. And I don't know if you know what that's for, but the Land Rovers of the past, the Defenders of the past, the Discoveries of the past, they had this giant roof, you know, made life better for going on safaris and stuff. But that glass is actually for something. It's called safari glass. And it's actually so you could see the birds and the trees and the other animals as you're going through the jungle. Pretty cool, right? Well, the Defender has that glass going all through the car. So it gives for good interior light. It also gives for kids a good thing to do if they're in the back seat or in the third row seat. In some of these Land Rover Defenders, there are third row seats. This currently does not have the third row seat, but yeah, aside from this sunroof right here, there is also the safari glass. Can you imagine how many birds you could see with this? I don't know if I'd be looking for birds. I'd probably be looking for UFOs since I live in California. I mean, we don't really get much safari action here, so it'd probably be more UFOs and weird people walking around just doing their thing. It's LA, it's Beverly Hills. You want to take a look at stuff like that. All right, so this might be a little bit odd to notice, but the front end has these circular lights on it, and it's a very good tribute to the Defenders of the past. That's why they actually have them. There's a lot of little hidden Easter eggs about this Defender, you know, and it definitely has a fair representation of what the old Defender was. It's kind of like a fusion of the Defender from old to new in a retro way that's done very stylish and done very properly. I mean, there have been some archaic versions of retro done. I mean, the old Thunderbird, for one thing, was a terrible thing to look at. PT Cruisers may not have been the best thing to look at, but we've got retro done here and we've got it done right. And Land Rover Defender definitely has a namesake to uphold. You know, not saying that those other cars or other SUVs might not be that great, but the Defender is something special. So I know that they wanted to get this right, and they definitely did. And you know what else I love about Land Rover? Their vents actually are functional, because you can see right here, it goes straight through, and that's definitely important when you're off-roading. You definitely want to get in good air and good cooling, and they did a good job. Yeah. Nice job, Land Rover. Even better job, Land Rover Defender. The other thing that I like that they actually kept up with the styling cues of the whole square thing going on here, still paying tribute to the old Defender. We've got the square turn signals. It's good looking. I mean, it fits with the style of the truck, you know? This SUV definitely says, I am a Land Rover Defender. 110 or 90, but actually this is the 110, so it definitely says that about this truck. Also, I do love the fact that this right here is rubberized and it fits with the theme of the Defender. We've got the suction right here, induction going straight to the engine. Functional, fitting with the theme of Land Rover Defenders being true off-roaders. And on the windscreen, I mean, you've got the stamp for Land Rover right here. It's good to know that your glass came from Land Rover. You wouldn't want to go safaring or driving down Rodeo Drive and then have like a Gucci bag fly at your windshield only to find out that the Gucci bag went straight through your windshield because it wasn't a true Land Rover windshield. That'd be really bad, you know? Something interesting that I noticed about the mechanism to turn on the lights, it kind of reminds me of the BMWs from the past, where it's a toggle switch, but it doesn't actually grasp onto what you're trying to select. So it stays neutral on every setting. If you turn it to off, it'll come back to the neutral setting in the middle. If you turn it to turn lights on, it'll turn the lights on, but then it comes back to the neutral setting in the middle. Auto, same thing. It's just a little weird. It kind of reminds me of like the old Bengalized BMWs when you used to put the turn signal on and it would go back to the middle. The turn stock would go back to the middle and then you would have to turn the turn signal off. It kind of gives me a remnants of that, which is it's a little bit disconcerting to me because like that gets my blood pressure up, because I remember when I was driving my 5 Series back in the day and trying to make a left turn, but then I'd want to go right. My turn signals would stay on even though after I've completed my task of turning. So I just feel like in some way, shape, or form, this is going to give me anxiety, guys. I don't know. What about you? Do we even know if it's on or off anymore? I guess we could look in the middle. Not really digging that. So not going off topic or anything, but this boxiness, which I've been talking about for this SUV, goes to the modern era look of the Land Rover Defender, which does pay tribute to the old. And that's where the nostalgia kicks in for me. You see, I'm a child of the 90s. I know I might not look like I'm that old, but I actually am. And for me, this Land Rover Defender right here is a status quo symbol, at least in my opinion, because I would see it on National Geographic or see it on other types of shows where the Defender was going through the safari or going through mud or going through snow. It's an odd, boxy vehicle, but I love it. Can't get enough of it. I mean, just look at it. It's huge. Take a good look at this thing. Did you see the camera? The camera can't even keep up with how big this thing is. It's huge. The camera cannot even keep up with how big this thing is. It's huge. Gotta love the square lights and the shark fin on the top. I'll get to that in a moment though. You might want to find out what exactly that shark fin does, and I got news for you. It's not necessarily bring in radio and satellite signals. There's a little hidden feature on there, but I'm going to let you know what that secret is in just a moment. All right, so getting up to this shark fin on the top right here, after I open this giant door that says Land Rover Defender, and by the way, if you notice, the door swings over to the other side as opposed to this side, which is where the driver's side is, and that's because this car is made for European spec, like Great Britain, true to the heritage. Yeah, and it says Defender on the back, in case you were wondering. So taking a good look, this shark fin right here actually has a camera in it. I don't know if you can see that. Probably not. But that camera actually serves a really important purpose. And it's to help you when you're backing up and stuff. And also to get a good view of the vehicle, which is pretty important when you're driving, parking, or backing up, considering how big this is. I mean, just take a look. This thing's huge. So normally in the Defender that has the option, when you slam this vehicle into reverse and you click on a button right here, what would end up happening is a mirror image of everything behind you without the tire or any of that stuff being in the way. So you'd get a clear view of exactly what's behind you. On this current model, it doesn't have that feature, but what we do have is 360 view and a reverse camera with sensors, which really isn't that bad. I mean, it would be nice to have that feature on the rearview mirror, but you don't really need it. Or do you? I mean, if you do need it, you should get it right away. I wouldn't avoid the cost. I don't know what it costs, but you should definitely invest into it. Now, the reason why I'm focusing so much on that rear view camera for safety and other reasons is that there's talks that the car industry is so impressed with that technology that Land Rover has bestowed upon this Defender that there are car companies trying to implement this technology in multiple vehicles. I don't have the exact companies, but I did read an article explain that the car industry is very happy with Land Rover's depiction of this new tech. So a lot of people are going to be copying. And quite frankly, it's a really good piece of technology, and I think a lot of vehicles should have it. Cars, trucks, SUVs, whatever. If you're driving a Land Rover or you're driving a Kia, you should probably have technology like that available to you. I mean, it's just all about safety and good looks too. You know, when you back up, you want to impress people, you know. It's a good idea to have it. Bottom line, get it on your car somehow. They have aftermarket equipment that could do the same thing, by the way. I know that there's a couple companies out there. In case your car company doesn't offer it, you can order a rear view mirror that can do that. You just got to get the device and the camera. Yeah. Only costs like maybe $500 or $600. Another thing, this hollow centered console right here that's equipped for storage and rubberization and also to, you know, charge your phone or whatever. It's hollowed out for a reason. This bench right here is actually a third row seat as an option available. So they have the bench pretty much ready to go. All you got to do is unscrew all this stuff right here and you'll have a third row seat. For me, my third row seat passenger, and then the passenger. So that's 3 people can fit up in front in this vehicle if need be. All you got to do is get that option of that third row seat and you're good to go. Taking a good look at the gear lever right here. This was inspired from the Jaguars of the early days from 2014, particularly from the Jaguar F-Type. This new style of slot-driven shifting was brought upon from the F-Type, Jaguar's senior lineup product, into Land Rover. So that's where this comes from. But going even in a further detail, even the gear select is rubberized and good condition to make it easy for you to access when you've got to go and drive and you really can't afford to look down to see what gear you're putting it in. It's definitely easy to use. And if you notice, Land Rover on this particular model didn't put any paddle shifters, which is a big change. You know, everybody's going for paddle shifters nowadays, trying to make their SUV or truck something it isn't, or make it more sporty, or make it more different, or actually make it more the same. but they didn't bother to put any paddle shifters in here. And they've got these illuminated keys right here that change with your functions and your needs depending on the screen you're on. You know, you can set this to whatever you need it to do, and these will actually change. These illuminated keypads here will change based on your needs and functions. And I mean, that's a pretty neat hat trick to have. I mean, you definitely could use some multifunction things here. And even though the screen isn't huge, this screen and its MCU is very, very quick. I mean, literally, you could just click on something and it's instantaneous. Boom. No lag. Whatever you need, it's there. You want to sync the climate, you can. If you want manual controls, you've got these knobs right here, which again, were from the F-Type. And I know because I had the Jaguar F-Type. And these little multifunctional dials here can do everything from, if you want to heat the seats, you just push it and you can turn on the heater. If you want to have it cooled, you could just turn it the other way. But if you notice, it doesn't allow you to cool. And that's very similar to the Jaguar F-Type. It had the logo to cool the seats, but then nothing would happen. And that's because there's no cooling seats on this vehicle. But they still tease you with the option, making you think that it could possibly be cooled if you paid enough money or begged the right person, but it's not going to happen. Yeah. And then taking a look over here, you will see that on the main screen, you've got a very clear navigation, obviously, which you could, you know, watch an entire video about this if you want. But I'm just driving home the point that this is definitely a center console that is impressive. It's not lackluster. The cameras are excellent. I mean, you click on the cameras and there you go. You have that lovely image of the vehicle right now live outside. I mean, obviously the color isn't proper, but that is our actual environment outside. I mean, is there a way to change the color? I don't know. Let's check the function right here. Can we change the color of it? No, you can't. But, I mean, you do have a camera, and it does show you all that. So I guess griping about the colors shouldn't be really that big of a deal, right? And oh yeah, you could change the angles by clicking here, and there, and there, and there. Everywhere. Any camera you want to see, you just click on it. It's pretty nifty, right? I'd say that's pretty cool. You know, despite that it's not color matched and everything. But the even crazier part right here is the weight sensing sensor. Oh yeah, it gives you a warning. So right now it's just basically measuring everything. And why this is so important is because this actually lets you measure what kind of ground clearance you can make if you were traveling through water. And right now, at its current height, you've got a max of 29, right? So if I were to raise the vehicle right now, you would definitely see that the ride height clearance for the weight sensing would go up. So we're raising the vehicle, and as you can see, now we're at 2 feet 11. Let's go even higher. So yeah, we're at 2 feet 11 right here, full 4x4 mode. And the same thing happens if you lower the vehicle. And it even warns you. Now we can only clear 2.9. And if we go even lower, well, guess what happens? Now we can only clear 2.6. Pretty interesting, right? What's even stranger is if you go back to the menu right here and you go to the vehicle dimensions, they actually change with the ride height. So if I raise it up right now, the numbers on the screen will update and change, showing that the dimensions are now taller. Do it again. That's crazy. So everything updates with the dimensions, you know? And I don't know why you would need the dimensions of your vehicle. Maybe if you're going through a bridge or going into a parking structure, you need to know the exact measurements and make sure your vehicle isn't exceeding those measurements. So you wouldn't want to hit the roof of the car, or the roof of the SUV on the parking structure or whatever bridge you're going through. But kind of cool, you know, that you would get that exact measurement. But the fact that they went out of their way to put a screen is pretty crazy. Also provides for eco data, which if you're in a Land Rover worried about eco, you're probably in the wrong vehicle. You've got your launch low traction here, which it's similar to launch control, but what it is basically it allows for you, in case you are stuck in snow, gravel, sand, you hit this button right here, and I'm not going to hit it right now, but if I was stuck and I hit that button, this vehicle will actually help me launch out of that sand, snow, or whatever is getting me stuck, and it will do it with a computer algorithm, and I don't have to fiddle with anything. It's pretty cool. A lot of little toys in here, you know? And that's not even including that there's iPhone, media, and a navigation with voice command. All that stuff is available in your Land Rover that was designed to go off-road in Beverly Hills. Yeah. Another interesting thing with all this technology, there's something very analog in this vehicle. If you look right here, there's a little plastic piece, and yeah, it goes in to actually lock out the hood release. So let me show you how it works. I guess it's designed so that way if you're in the car, you don't accidentally pull it while you're driving or something. So they make it pretty idiot proof, so you can't actually open your hood while you're driving. I don't know how dumb people have gone, but maybe in the past Land Rovers, maybe people when they were off-roading forgot where their handbrake was and just thought that that was it and pulled it, and then, you know, just things got very weird and awkward past that point, because I mean they just pulled to open their hood and they're on the off-road, and maybe they can't get out of their vehicle, maybe they're on a cliff or a hill and they just open their hood and now it's going to fly off. I think that's the logic behind it, but don't quote me on that. If any of you guys have the true story of why that happens, please post it in the comments and let me know. So climbing into the back seat, that's where things kind of still get interesting. I mean, you have right here on the back this clip here, which allows for you to put in a tablet of some sort, and also a USB/charge port in the chair, so you could possibly have screens here or entertainment of some sort. But what would a screen be without entertainment? I'll leave you to figure out that answer right there. You do have plenty of air conditioning vents. You've got plenty of these charge ports, which it looks like Land Rover was really paying attention to people and their concerns. I mean, and it does show that they keep up with the theme of everything is kind of rubberized and in good condition, ready for off-road. You do have the cup holders, which interestingly enough, do have rubberization in them. That was a joke. I mean, you do need rubberization in your cup holders. And you have the lovely skylights, or safari lights, or safari windows. Looking all around, this car does have good height. I mean, I'm not that tall to begin with, but in the interior, sitting in the back, the headroom is great. It's got good grab handles right here in case you get into a little bit of a bumpy ride. Everything will go well for you. And you've got this gigantic sunroof. At least that's how it looks like, that you have a gigantic sunroof at your disposal. But appearances can be deceiving, and in this case, maybe not all that great. Let me show you. Okay, as you can see, the sunroof does open glass-wise all the way, right? So there's plenty of sunroof, moonroof, sunroof, whatever you want to call it. There's plenty of that here. But that's not where the problem is. The problem gets into when you actually open it. Now, opening it right there, that's as far as it goes. That's all you get. This is what you get right here. That's what you get. That amount of sunroof. That's the amount of sunroof you get when you open this. all this, but all you get is that. So how does that make any sense? Do you guys have the answer of why that's happening? Can you tell me? I don't know. Another thing I don't like is in the pixel picture, when you open the sunroof, it doesn't open on the pixel picture. I'm just complaining. I'm looking for things to say that are bad about this truck, but I really can't. I really can't find anything. I mean, there's even stuff to blot out the sun. There's this device that I don't think people realize was there, but yeah. You've got a sun visor in the middle. That way your passenger doesn't get hit. So I guess right there, in that particular instance, it redeemed itself. That's really weird. But I think it's really cool, you know? Like, I gotta tell you, that's pretty awesome stuff. So the fact that the sunroof doesn't open all the way, I'm done with that. I don't need to talk about it anymore. Look, there's even blind spot monitoring for the door. See that right there? Yeah, that's how safe this thing is. And you know what? A lot of car companies are going to be copying that, if not already. This is just making history in the making right here with the blind spot monitoring for the doors. Makes you feel safe when you open it. That way you don't hit a bicyclist or maybe another car. And it'll tell you when it's clear. Just check it out. About to open the door. And it's clear. And if it wasn't clear, it'd be flashing yellow right before I opened the door. Or, you know, if the car was on, it would say that. So heading to the back of the Land Rover Defender, normally, or I shouldn't say normally, but on the third row seat option, there would be third row seats back here. And that would be fairly easy to get to, right? JK, joke. But there would also be some climate control features here for fan speed. Like you would have a dial of some sort, and there would be a plug, like a full 3-prong plug that you could plug in your generator, your entertainment devices, your camp gear, whatever it is. Now that's not obviously here, at least to my naked eyes. I might be wrong. But what you can do is adjust the ride height from the back of the vehicle. Right now I'm lowering the SUV. And it sits much lower. Now some of you might be asking, why would you need a switch like that in the rear of the vehicle? And the answer just gets very clear and simple once you think about it. If you're carrying cement or 15 bags of Prada or Gucci and you're walking up to your truck and it's kind of heavy to lift it up, all you got to do is lower your SUV. And then voila, it's easier to pick up and put in. And if you need to, you could raise your SUV right from the back just by pushing that button. And it goes up very quick, guys. I mean, literally, this thing is turning into a monster before my eyes. Look at that. I'm going all the way to the highest setting because I want you to see how tall it is. But yeah, that's pretty tall. After you raise it all the way up, this thing is like an off-road monster. But you know what? It doesn't really drive like an off-road monster when you're driving it normal. And that's going to bring me to my next part. Getting behind the wheel of this beast right now. So jumping in right off the bat, when you sit in this Land Rover Defender, you really feel like you're king of the road. I mean, compared looking to that Toyota Tacoma, it just looks like a little toy compared to this. I mean, it really does. It feels very commanding. You sit very dead center. This windshield shows the line of the front, so you can clearly see that there is clearance obviously coming from the hood. And a good marker is the pillars on both sides have that black marking for styling cues, the rubberized markings, which also help you to see exactly where your hood's lining up to when making turns or maybe pulling into a destination. It's pretty helpful. It looks very helpful, at least to me. Now, obviously driving this thing, slamming it into drive, you've got this very simple, very refreshing gear lever that just goes straight into drive. You don't have to worry about complex knobs or, you know, requirements before driving, and then you just hit the gas pedal. Now, driving the Land Rover right off the bat, it does feel like a truck. It doesn't feel like the Jeep did, which was, it just felt, you know, the Jeep felt very, very sturdy, but it still had like this toy-like, car-like feel on the Jeep itself. So driving the Land Rover Defender, like I said, it doesn't feel very sensitized in terms of you feeling the road and the tire feedback to the steering wheel. It feels numb there, but when you're turning and you're making decisions about where you're going to go, it feels very, very precise. Like the steering wheel feels like to the T. Like you are, when you're turning the wheel, you feel like it's a precise machine, and you feel like it's making a very clear directional decision when you're turning the wheel, as opposed to like when you drive a Jeep, you feel like the wheel has some leeway. Like, you know, if you turn the wheel from side to side, it doesn't really do anything for a little bit. There's a little bit of a gap there. On the Land Rover Defender, that is not the case. Everything is very precise and very specific. And I do feel like this engine, even though it is a 4-cylinder turbo, it does have a lot of pick-me-up. I mean, just giving it gas right there, the engagement is really good. And it does feel like the vehicle is actually taking off as opposed to just lagging. There was turbo lag there, but the vehicle does feel like it's linear on its takeoff, and you're definitely getting some gusto out of it. I will tell you this much. I mean, if you're looking for something that feels small, this isn't going to be the vehicle for you. You're going to want to look for something else. It doesn't feel gigantic, like maybe an Escalade or something like that, but it doesn't feel that small either. It has that intermediate feeling, but it's a comforting feeling. I mean, it still feels on the classification of like a large car or maybe a mid-size SUV, but not a gigantic SUV. I have driven some Land Rovers in the past, and I can tell you that the steering and the braking, they all feel good. The acceleration feels good. It feels very much Land Rover Defender product, or I should say Land Rover Range Rover product. It doesn't feel like it's some sort of cheaped out, watered down version of it. But this vehicle does feel like it can just do everything you need it to do, whether it be going on the road, off the road, in the snow, whatever you need. You feel very confident when you're driving this. And you can also notice that when you're sitting, even though the seats aren't the softest material, the seats do position you and cushion you in a way that it feels very comfortable in here. You know, it's not obnoxiously comfortable where you're like, man, I just feel like I'm going to recline and go to sleep in it, but it feels like a sporty secureness to it, that you're in something that's cocooned you in protection. And I think that's important when you're buying something like this and you're driving it, that you feel like you're getting that type of reaction while you're driving. You're not engaged to the point where you feel, man, this place or being in this space right now, it's just too desensitizing and I'm too comfortable and I'm going to fall asleep. But it's also lively enough that when you're driving it, you get really excited to make turns. Like even right here, the turning radius is excellent. Check this out. Look at that. I mean, and this thing is a honking giant tank. It's not a small vehicle, but it makes that GMC right there look kind of small. But yet it was able to execute that U-turn beautifully without any sort of, you know, fuss or muss about it. It just went around, did the U-turn, really small, really quick, and we're back in the direction that we need to go, you know? And the environment while you're driving is pretty nice. I mean, you even have that rhinestone air conditioner perfume thing right there, right? I mean, that's what you have in these kinds of vehicles. When you're going off-road, you need to make sure that you are, you know, cleaning the air of all the impurities. You know, whatever nature you're smelling, you don't want to smell that. You want to smell some Gucci Mane. You do. You want to smell some Prada. You want to smell some Gucci. That's how you want to feel when you're driving your Land Rover Defender, Range Rover. Don't ever forget it. Looking out in the back too, the rear visibility is pretty good too. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I mean, obviously, it's not the greatest with that rear tire back there, but it's not terrible either. And the windows do feel very, very good. Like there's good amount of visibility in here. I would feel confident driving this vehicle at night, even if I didn't have the tinted windows, I would feel more confident. But I mean, obviously the tinted windows do impair your vision a little bit. But I think like driving this at night, it would be a cakewalk, especially with the cameras, the 360 cameras, and the way the windows are shaped. You can see very clearly. It doesn't feel like there's a ton of blind spots. And even if you do have blind spots, you've got blind spot monitors, you know, that are available on the side views. And by the way, one thing that I did not mention is that each door has a blind spot monitor. So that way, before you open it, you're actually able to see if there is something coming. And, you know, that's an important feature that I think a lot of cars, trucks, and SUVs will be getting in the future, is the blind spot monitors. So when you open your door, you don't open it into a bicyclist or another vehicle. Really important stuff, guys. At the end of the day, this is definitely a Land Rover, Range Rover product, and you can definitely feel like there is that type of atmosphere going on in here. It doesn't short sell you on the fact of what it is, and it doesn't, it's definitely not overselling you on the fact of what it is and what it can do, because it literally can do everything that they're saying it can do. Like, this thing can do that plus more. I mean, I don't know if you've seen some of the commercials, but this thing's literally climbing vertically up a wall, like in some of those commercials, and it's real, you know? It's like literally climbing up a mountain or a wall type thing vertically with no trouble. So if you want something that can do everything and is not a poser, you should definitely buy this Land Rover Defender. It's worth the money. Oh yeah, and this 360 camera when you're backing up, really helpful. Look at that. I could still manage to be in the lines without being in the lines. If that makes any sense. To sum it up, this Land Rover Defender 110 4-door is awesome. If you've got the money and you can afford it, I would say next to the Tesla Model S, or X I should say, next to the Tesla Model X, this is one of the coolest, most nicest things you can own as far as SUVs are concerned. I mean, you could definitely get a Rolls-Royce SUV or a Bentley SUV, but I don't feel like it's going to live up to your expectations as much as this will. And I really do think that at the end of the day, if you own a Land Rover product, you're always going to be happy, because it's a Land Rover product and they're fun and they're cool. And you know what? You can own one without looking like too much of a dork or a douche and still look cool. I mean, it just has that presence about it. It's something that will make you feel like you made a good purchase, and it does everything it's advertised to do. It's awesome looking, it's different, but at the same time, it's very familiar. It didn't go out of its way to try to be something it's not, which a lot of the cars, trucks, and SUVs are doing nowadays. They're just trying too hard and they're not getting anywhere fast at all. And this definitely does not do that. This does bring in the rain. It does bring in all the happiness and the sunshine when you look at it. It's a great looking truck. It's a great looking SUV, and it's going to put a smile on your face each and every day when you go to the garage, just like a little kid in a candy store or in a toy store. So without further ado, you got some money, or if you don't have some money, save it up and go get one of these Land Rovers, because I'm going to start saving for mine. I think I'm going to get one exactly in this color, white. White on black, you can't go wrong. Maybe get some larger rims, but I mean, really great SUV. Can't go wrong with it. Can't say enough good things about it. Just look at the rear of it. It's exciting, people. Before I leave you and bid you good day here, I really just want to say to you guys, I really appreciate the support and all the love you guys have been showing for the videos. It's so awesome. Thank you so much. So if you're at the end of this video and you really do want to show your support for me, if you could please hit that like and subscribe button. It would definitely help out me and the channel. And if you don't want to hit it, that's fine too, no problems. You could leave me a comment if you think I did something wrong or you want to correct me on something. That's not a problem either. I don't have trouble with that. I'm always welcome to invite discussions, and I just love the car community, and I really appreciate all you guys doing all the things you're doing for me by making these videos happen. I mean, I've hit some pretty good milestones lately with my YouTube channel, and I couldn't have done it without you guys, and you guys are a huge, tremendous support for me, and I'm very appreciative to you guys. So thank you so much, and hopefully we will be resuming on another Land Rover product soon, or maybe a sports car. I don't know, maybe we'll get a Porsche. I saw a Porsche convertible I really want to review. I think I'm going to review that next. And yeah, special thanks to Tony for lending me his Land Rover today. Couldn't have done this without you. Thank you, my friend. We appreciate it.